Life doesn't come how we plan it. Things always happen so differently. So when I was outed and the conversion practices started, I knew this won't change anything. My name is Lilac. I am from Nairobi, Kenya, and I am a queer person. I'm also a Christian, and I am in my early 30s.
Could you share a bit about your personal journey and when you first became aware of your identity?
Having been raised in a very religious background with parents who are clergy, even the extended family, most of the people are clergy, and I knew this is wrong because it's instilled with you, oh, you have to be pure, you have to actually wait and get married before you have sex and all that. So the first thing I did was pray the gay away, which I did for quite some years, and until I realized I was mostly wasting my energy and my time, and I started to find ways to accept who I am and to be who I am while still hiding for a minute. And then when I was yanked out of the closet around 2021, that came with a lot of conversion practices as well, and a lot of there's a very thin line between family and church in my home, so it came both from the family and from the church as well.
Could you describe the specific methods or techniques that were used during your experience with conversion practices?
So in my mind, the first thing was the praying the gay away for myself and trying to abstain and everything that any queer person has tried while they're trying to discover themselves. From family, well, that's a whole roller coaster. The lectures where everybody in the family will sit down, including those younger than you, and just bring in their ideas of how you should live and how you should do things differently. The prayers where you anointed, unaekelewa miguu, karibu wekelewe pia mikono, ukitolewa pepo. Counseling, being taken to other therapists, Christian-based therapists specifically, and trying to be told how you need to live your life. There's also easy manipulation. Like, we will give you a lecture before dinner and then make sure you have to eat, and then before you go to bed thinking that you're eating and it's done, we have to pray for you then. Or you wake up in the morning and there's no breakfast for you. And when you ask a word, it's thrown, like an insult here or there. So there was also the emotional torture every now and again. So I think mine is a full basket with a lot of raw and painful thoughts that came from different people, because another thing, when you have a family that pretends to be, and pretend is the word, to be very close and, oh, we are praying for this person, or this person is this and this. Everyone has an opinion. An auntie from nowhere will call you and bring you'll go to a burial and someone will just come introduce themselves to you and you do not even know them, and then now start praying for you, trying to show you the need for you to get married. Someone else will get into a car all the way to 3-4 hours to your homeland to go and remind your grandmother that you're gay and why she needs to start hating you.
What were the immediate emotional and psychological effects you experienced during these practices?
That's why it's a whole roller coaster of emotions. Self-hate comes first, because the first question you keep asking yourself is, why do I have to be the different person? Why do I have to be the standing out? Because before this I was not the black sheep, but now when you're the black sheep and the black is so dark and everyone has to see it, and humans have an idea of removing the speck in your eye before they remove the log in your inner ears. So I started hating myself. I started even looking at myself very different, because there were also some body shaming coming from the family. For some reason they had to expound on their hate, which was quite interesting. So the hate, depression, getting anxious quite often. One time when it got so bad and I was not employed and I was living at home, I became suicidal, and that's a whole other story in another film.
How have these experiences affected your mental health, relationships, and sense of self over the long term?
So I think I will start with the relationships part because that is something I have discussed with a few other friends. Every morning, my parents will wake up and pray for me, for the husband that will come, and the children they want, and all the nitty gritty dreams they have. And while they're praying, I have a relationship I'm building. Sometimes I feel like I should tell them, would you please stop? You're ruining my relationship with myself. But then I realized now that then it was bad because I'll start thinking about the relationship and the husband and trying to look at which is your dream and which is your parents' dream. And balancing the two becomes a bit difficult. It takes time and energy to remind myself of my value and to accept myself. It took quite a long time to just deal with some of the self-hate and to affirm myself. It's a whole journey, but and I love that I am at a place where I love who I am and I have accepted myself as a Christian and also as a queer person. Oh, over a long time, I had a problem with building relationships while still trying to figure out how to balance the prayers and the conversion ideas that my parents had of me or of the child they gave birth to, and sitting down and throwing your dream aside and your parents' dream aside, and realizing that whether they pray every day and fast, the husband they're fasting for won't come, and trying to build my home as I want it while creating the boundaries it takes a toll on you. But as I've said, it's been 10 years since we started this roller coaster, so some things have been different. The same thing happens with the mental health. I take time to know my triggers. I take time to step aside. I decide when I want to visit relatives. I decide which weddings I will skip and just create my own boundaries and realize who I can invite in my space and who I can't. Because that is also the other thing. And I also make sure if I'm going home for holidays, I won't stay for an extended period of time. And when I come back, I sensitize myself. I just meet with a few friends, queer or otherwise, affirming people who I can reach out to and just have conversations and enjoy a healing space after the trauma.
Was there a moment when you realized these practices weren't working or were causing you harm?
So, as I've said, when I found out I was gay, it took a while for me to pray the gay away and learn who I was and just find space for me to accept myself. I always said I will never tell my mom or my dad that I'm gay. I will wait for their deathbed, and just before they leave, I say, guess what? The reason I'm not married is because I am gay. And in case that kills them, we attend the burial. In case it doesn't, and a miracle happens and they arise from the deathbed, I will tell them they were dreaming or otherwise. But life doesn't come how we plan it. Things always happen so differently. So when I was outside and the conversion practices started, I knew this won't happen. This won't change anything. And the worst part is that at that time I didn't have a light at the end of the tunnel. It was all darkness because when you're living under your parents' roof, you running away it doesn't always work. And I had already run away previously. And I knew I can start life just from scratch. But thank God, because I remember one of the nights, I think the fourth night, I told God, you have to find a way to get me out of this place. And somehow I got a job and left and started my life in another county and started now coming out myself on my own terms, allowing myself to find community, to find affirming people and all that. So I knew they were painful, I knew they were hurtful, but I am glad that while looking back, I can look back and see some of the good things that came from being outed because now I am able to live in my own authentic self. I wouldn't pray it on my worst enemy. I am glad that this is where I am now.
How did you find your way towards healing or self-acceptance afterwards?
People whom we have similar goals, just having conversations with people and just, it's not necessarily group therapy, but just where you can sit down and speak trauma dump on each other and just find ways towards healing and that. I also write a lot of short stories and poetry, and that has helped me. Reflecting as well, like taking a walk around the place I stay and just looking at life in a different lens. And most importantly, avoiding people who do not bring any advantage and good things into your life. Someone you can ignore them. Life won't stop because you have not answered one conversation. Life will go on. So creating boundaries, sometimes they get blurry, but creating the boundaries did help as well.
If you could speak directly to someone currently considering or being pressured into conversion practices, what would you want them to know?
If you're considering it and you think it will work for you, well, good luck. If someone is pressuring you, find a way to leave. The pain and the energy you need to get rid of some of the wounds and scars, some even emotional, is too much on anyone. So if you're able to leave, find ways to leave. And most importantly, don't do it alone. Find a friend in a different space from where you are, someone you can talk to and share with, because journeying alone is what has caused a lot of depression even in the community. Not being able to speak about these kind of pains is what has had us bury people because of suicide, which is sad. Journey with someone and run if you can, as fast as you can. I think that's what I can end with. Just run.